Hi there. Namaste, beautiful souls watching. Thank you. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this one is about an experience in remote viewing. Um, I have a friend. She owns a piece of land with lots of apple trees on it. And in the summertime, we meet there. She opens up her garden for people to come and be together, talk or eat together, whatever, play some music. And sometimes she's doing, because she's a shaman, she's doing a fire ritual and we can participate in it. It's just a very nice place out in nature where people, like minded people, can come together and share some time and moments with each other. So, one time I was in her garden and there was a man. He um, he was a remote viewer. I didn't know at that moment, but we were talking about some kind of spiritual themes, and along that I said, "Oh, I'm so interested in remote viewing." And as I already had the experience of thinking that all the others are doing different things than I, and you have to train and learn it. I was thinking that, for example, the animal communicators are doing something different than I do. And I bought an expensive workshop in animal communication only to find out they're doing exactly the same thing like I learned in my mediumship trainment. They're taking a photograph of the animal and they even put it in an envelope so that your eyes don't look, is it a dog, a cat, a horse, whatever. So you can't start with your ego mind interpreting and deducting and analyzing and suspecting and assuming. You have to rely on what kind of energy you get from the photograph in the envelope. And that's how I learned in some exercises in my mediumship trainment. And so this guy answered, "Oh, I absolved a workshop in remote viewing. And if you're a medium, you should easily be able to do it." And I said, "Wow, that sounds interesting. Can you give me any other hint or help me with that?" And he said, "Just wait a moment, I've got an address." And he went back to his car and he brought paper with him and pencils. And he said, "Just let us try, have some fun with an experiment." So, in remote viewing, you don't know what you remote view. You only get a set of numbers. This is the address, like in the GPS, but you don't know which place and you don't know nothing. So, your mind, your ego cannot cope with that and just has to step aside. Um, and he gave us this number, and he also told us to make with a pencil some kind of any form, some kind of swirl, a line, some kind of symbol, just the first thing that comes from without thinking right after you wrote down the numbers. And I did that. And you can take your pencil and on every point of this line or symbol you made, you can put it there and you get information about a special phase, and you can put it more to the beginning of your drawing or more to the end of your little line you made, and you get different information there. So I did that, and immediately closing my eyes, I found myself, how to say that, how to put it best. Well, I have to start at the very beginning. I felt my crown chakra vibrating, and I felt some kind of energy that was going upwards. So, and after I felt that with closed eyes, having written the number and doing my little line, I found myself, like in QHHT hypnosis, I found myself in another place. And it was like a desert. There was sand all around. And I looked around, and in the distance, to my left side, I saw some kind of a tower. It was a round tower with these typical round roofs and some windows on the tower and some mountains around. And it seemed to me quite medieval, that tower. But I thought, well, here in the desert, there is nothing to experience and to gather information. So I want to go and have a look at the tower and look if there are people there. And I marched towards the tower. And while I was marching and came closer and closer, I felt that there were other people also marching towards this destination. And when I came close, I found out it was a little town, looked very medieval to me, like with cobblestones and a marketplace. And the flow of the people was all going to the marketplace. So I just flowed along with them in the flow and found myself in this marketplace. And there were a lot of people gathered, and they had some kind of, how to put it, some kind of installation there, which reminded me, although I've never been there, of, how do you call it, the Burning Man. It was a figure made of wood, and it looked like a human figure with a head and kind of a torso, and it was all filled with wood and branches and leaves and things like that from the nature. And I looked at that and I didn't get it. And then they put fire onto this construction of this wooden figure, and the whole thing started burning. And I, without thinking whether they can perceive me, I didn't even know then about the light up procedure to show that you're there in your astral body and to let the other ones you encounter know who you are. And well, I didn't know that at that time. Now I know, now I do it, and I found out that humans rarely perceive when you remote view them. Only if they are trained and have some perception of higher energies and other dimensions. But the ETs, they get it. Whenever I was somewhere in an encounter with so-called ETs, and I popped into their spaceship or some other place, they look right at me. So they can perceive if somebody is there in their astral body and checking the surroundings. So I just bursted out to the next person standing right beside me on this marketplace watching the fire and asked, "What is it all about?" Because I didn't get it. And the person, without hesitating, as if I'm a normal person, no problem, they didn't even seem to perceive me as different from them, which made me think later on I was in some kind of other dimension, whatever. And the answer was, we are burning the old to make room and space for the new to come. Wow, that was an answer that really struck me. And I had to digest it. It took some time. I wasn't able to repeat anything. I didn't even say thank you for the answer. And then suddenly I had to look up. And when I looked up, I saw there were two suns in the sky. So then I definitely knew I'm on another planet. So that was what I got from this address, the number, and some others who also participated in this little remote viewing experiment. They got different things. So after we closed the session and everybody wrote down what he perceived or she perceived, and we exchanged our notes, we found some similarities, and then he resolved the whole thing, and he said he got this address from his remote viewing training, and it's the address of the so-called crystal planet. So, Chaka, I was right with the two suns, and I was on a different planet. And I learned later on, because I tried some more remote viewing, I really like that. I found out whenever your ego mind is coming in and doubting what you are perceiving, or the ego talk in your head, oh, you're making this up, this can't be real, blah, 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 blah. Whenever you think, oh, you got it, you lost it. You can be sure of that. And the ego will always reject everything that's not coming from itself. So that's also a criteria. If your brain reacts like that and is doubting what you are perceiving, it's because the ego feels threatened by everything from outside of its, let's say, little kingdom. And usually, if that happens in a remote viewing session, you are with a training. I already got that from mediumship. You are ordered more or less to write it down as a deduction, as an assumption. If you're remote viewing something and you think, oh, I've got it, that must be the pyramid in Egypt. Well, you never go out of a remote viewing session being totally sure that you know what you remote viewed. And if you think or feel like that, you're probably wrong, because we mostly get it wrong. That's the ego trap. And I went back home, and suddenly in the evening before I went to bed, I was thinking about the thing again, and it dawned on me, well, I only took there, but I did not give anything. So I closed my eyes and I went back there. It's like a GPS. If you've been there once, you can just order your soul, go there again, and boom, you are there. Well, it works at least with me like that. And I experienced that it's the same more or less for others, but it also needs some training. So I went there again, and I found a group on the marketplace, and they were singing. And because I'm so much into sound and music and singing and playing some instruments, I just couldn't withstand just to join them. And, you know, they had some kind of traditional chant that was, let's make it very simple, just like 3 notes, like la, la, la. And if you have a chant that goes only in between these 3 notes, after a short time it gets boring. And I confess I'm very impatient, and I couldn't withstand to make some alterations. I didn't want to disturb their core singing, but I just changed some of the notes, and that was maybe my creativity. I like to experiment and I like to explore. So I was just exploring a little bit of music within their chant. And I was in harmony with them, so I didn't disturb their chanting. And I just couldn't help. I had to variate the tones and bring in something different. And after they finished, I turned to the next person on my side and I said, "Sorry, I've been here before." And it dawned on me that I only took and I didn't give or offer anything to say thank you for what I learned here. And they just laughed at me in a very nice manner, smiling. And the person to my side said, "Well, you already gave something. You gave us the variations." And I wasn't even aware that this was my present, my say thank you to them, because I just couldn't help singing some different notes. So that was it. So much for that. I hope you find something helpful in this. Be blessed. Namaste, beautiful souls. Have a wonderful time. Love and light to all of you. Bye.